Greetings and welcome to another live stream in the beautiful city of Tokyo. I'm inside today. Looks like it's going to rain. I got a doctor's appointment, so I thought I would take some of your questions before then, make a really quick live stream, connect with all of you guys on this Thursday. It's crazy. The weekend's already coming up so fast. How you doing? Let's get right to it. You can also ask, this is a live stream, you can ask me in the chat as well if you have a question about traveling to Japan, anything. I get a ton of questions. In fact, if you leave a comment in any of the live streams, if it's a question mark question, it actually comes up on the top. I can search just for those. And I get this quite a lot. So like the first question is the one that I get probably the most right here. It's always about the weather because people want to plan for their trips to Japan. They want to plan to the trip to travel here. So how's the Tokyo weather like at the end of October or the first week in November? It's cooler than summer. I think you do need to have a jacket. It's pretty much like the same as in the United States. I have to be honest with you. If you're looking at the weather in New York or the East Coast, it's very similar. We have 4 seasons in Japan. October, it feels like Halloween. You need to have a jacket, long pants. It's nice to have layers, have a sweatshirt or a sweater or a light jacket. You're probably going to be fine with that. The first week of November is pretty much the same. I would wear layers. I'm a fan of Uniqlo because of the underwear and the socks mostly, but also the heat tech. You have one of those, you throw them in there, you can put that on with your shirt and your layers and it keeps you a little bit warmer. Unless you're doing a lot of stuff at night or early in the morning, the daytime weather is usually around like about 55 degrees Celsius, or what is that? So about 12 to 18 degrees Celsius. So that's about 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. You're going to get some cloudy days. It's the end of the typhoon season, so you're probably not going to get anything like that. But you're going to get some rain. You're going to get some wind, some breeze. So it's nice to have a windbreaker or a rain jacket, just a suggestion. But in the most part, the weather's pretty nice, I think. The autumn colors will only have changed in Tokyo at elevation. So in order to see the colored leaves, you'll have to go to Takao-san, probably more in the middle of November, and you'll see some of the most beautiful scenery up there. But Tokyo's pretty mild compared to, I don't know, it's not winter yet. So pair of jeans, button-down shirt, jacket. There you go, and maybe a layer along with that. We'll take some more questions from the live chat here. Save it for a little bit. We're going to get into some of these questions here. I get a bunch of them. Some of them have nothing to do with travel to Japan. One of them here, so I did one about tickets in Japan, about reserved tickets. So some trains are all reserved. Some trains have non-reserved tickets. You can just hop on cars 1 through 5 or 1 through 3. But the Tohoku Shinkansen, the express trains, are all reserved cars. But when you sit down in one, this question from Mr. Morjo is really good. How do ticket inspectors on Japanese trains know when someone's sitting in a reserved seat? They walk through the carriages so fast it's hard to comprehend. They have a device that allows them to see which seats are booked and which seats aren't. And they also don't check tickets all the time. They don't have to, because if someone is sitting in that seat, most likely they have a seat reservation. They can kind of see when something is out of place. They also know where you're getting on the train to sit in that reserved seat. So they know when a seat is empty that someone from Sendai is going to be getting onto it, or someone from Ichinoseki is going to be getting onto the train. So they know that. If there's somebody sitting in a spot where someone coming on an Ichinoseki is supposed to be sitting there, they know that someone doesn't have a non-reserved seat, or they're in the wrong seat. They'll confront you to try to avoid a confrontation later on at Ichinoseki when this passenger does try to get on and get to a seat. So these seating conflicts don't happen too often because the conductors know that stuff in advance. They have a device that allows them to look. And they're very experienced. They know when something's out of place. A lot of JR Rail Pass users will also get on the Nozomi trains, which are also reserved only, and you can't use the JR Rail Pass on there. So they might lightly ask some tourists sometimes, but they make the announcement in English. This train is a Nozomi Express. JR pass holders should not be on this train, or something like this. So it's very interesting. The bullet trains in Taiwan have overhead LEDs. There are some trains in Japan that have that as well. But I found for the most part, though, and it depends on what area of the country, and different trains have different systems. They're made by different manufacturers. Some are made by Hitachi, some are made by Sanyo, some are made by Mitsubishi Heavy Industries. So the different trains have different systems, and each train each train company and each division of JR is going to have contracts to purchase those trains. So the systems are somewhat different. They do have those LED lights too, but usually it's the conductor knows this stuff well in advance. It's interesting. Thanks for the question. I like that. This one came from yesterday's live stream on the new Prime Minister. And there's some videos from about 10 years ago where the Prime Minister, Takaichi Sanai, is doing, she's singing songs on live TV, Japanese TV. They're pretty incredible. I'm pretty sure, yeah, that is her. And I think it was 2016. So there are some clips of the Prime Minister where she's just being a cool person. I like that stuff. It comes back to show you that this person is just a normal person. But there was a comment that she made recently about, she was saying work, work, work. And she was talking about herself, not about the workers in Tokyo. A lot of people are overworked. A lot of people at places like these massive advertising agencies or I don't know, corporate jobs, they're working 70, 80-hour weeks. A lot of them are obligated to go out drinking with their bosses too, because that's just the system in Japan. The boss doesn't get, if the boss wants to stay away from his wife and go out drinking, he's going to have drinking partners from the company. That's just the way it goes. I worked at places where that was also the case. And I was young and single, so that was easier. But nowadays, I probably wouldn't want to go out drinking with my boss. I want to just go home and go get, my wife's probably cooking dinner or something. I don't know, maybe it was my turn to cook. But that comment was about her, that she's going to be a hardworking prime minister and she's going to do everything she can to work for the people of Japan. And somebody needs to right now, because there's a lot of work that needs to get done. So that was, for me, I didn't take it as like this, that she was not telling other people that they should be working as well. As I said in yesterday's live stream, a lot of the national holidays that were on Wednesdays and Thursdays and Fridays were moved to Mondays to make for 3-day holidays. So it seems that Japanese workers have like 2 4-day work weeks every month. Now, every industry is going to be different. You might have to work on the holidays. It just depends on your job, if you're full-time, part-time, corporate. But there's a lot more 3-day holidays these days than there were 10, 15 years ago, because of the way that the government has structured this to try to give more people time off. And it also sparks the government. But a lot of work still needs to be done in this respect. So I really do appreciate the questions on this. I've been here for a long time. So I, like, over a generation now, it seems. So I kind of have a feeling of what things were like in 1998, and then before the digital era, really, and now in the digital era, that shift with Japan and how it's affected from that generation to this generation. It's fascinating. The stuff that I've seen in Japan over the years, I get some amazing stories that eventually come out when we do these live streams. And speaking of speaking of digital stuff in Japan, I see the live chat. I'll get into that in a second, guys. I'm going to keep the live chat on the screen here as well. One of my favorite politicians in Japan is Kono Taro. Kono being his last name first name last. That's a Japanese system here. He's on Twitter. So Jim, I know you're not on Twitter, and I replied, just get on Twitter. I know a lot of people don't want to be on it because of political reasons. I think that's not really. Everybody has their own reasons for being on one platform or the other. I really don't care, but you should be on Twitter, and if you want to see these, especially if you want to see some of the comments here, you don't have to be on it actively, but it's a fascinating place most of the time. It also can be a toxic place, just like Facebook and all the other social medias. They're all pretty much the same, but I'm on them or have some sort of presence on most of them because you kind of have to for what I do. But what are some examples of Kono Taro? He is the digital minister. At least he seems like he has been a digital minister for like 10 years. He went to Georgetown University. He speaks English quite well. He's on the foreign media quite a bit, talking about things with the government. He's been under a lot of the prime ministers, which is a good thing and a bad thing, because you also take the good with the bad. When a prime minister has a corruption scandal, sometimes the candidates in the cabinet will get dragged down. But he's always been in like the top 5 prime minister candidates in the last elections, but not so much in this last one, which is odd to me. But I've always found him to be a fascinating person, and so I will show you some of things where he's just, where Kono Taro in English is just being himself. This is one from 6 days ago. Of course, we still use Apple II Plus in Japan, with or without floppy disks. I think he's playing a game right there. But this is a joke on how Japanese systems often are stuck in the 1990s or 1980s. I thought it was pretty funny. But he's the digital minister, all right? He's the one who's trying to get Japan into the 21st century here. And he's saying that he still leaves. Like little things like this, it pops up in his Twitter thing. It just depends on who you're following. Here's one from a while ago. Actually, this is from last month. I guess he was traveling abroad and he found a super dry store, and he's Japanese, so he knows about Asahi Super Dry. So it's a very strange shop, at least for the Japanese. So, like, I mean, I get the humor. I guess maybe some people don't. He's also the digital minister. This one comes from last month as well. A cardboard drone at a defense industry exhibition. Like, it's just kind of funny. Because of who he is. It's the digital minister, and he's here highlighting the cardboard drones. These are, of course, going to be very effective. He seems to like to do this a lot, and I didn't think about this until I saw his Twitter. So every time I get on the Shinkansen as well, I like to get an ice cream. Not every time, almost every time. Not recently, though. But I did quite a bit. You always get the ice cream on the Shinkansen. It's great. But they're coming rock hard. They're like so freaking hard. All ice cream comes out, especially if you eat it not in the summer. And he's found a way to do that. He gets a coffee along with his ice cream, which is so genius. And he puts the ice cream on top of the coffee to melt it a bit. So this politician has found the solution to getting rid of the rock hard ice creams on the Shinkansen. He does them in all these different directions too. This is from earlier in the year. I think he's upgraded, where he would put he understands now that heat rises, so probably a good idea to put the ice cream on the top because the heat rises, and 4 months later he's learned his lessons on how to make it more efficient. It's a very good trait for a digital minister, I would say. Here's another one. I like some of the friends. This is the governor of Aomori Prefecture. He's very famous for having his jackets with manga. I believe that might be him. Is that him? That's an anime character of him? Like the lining of his jacket, which you never see, is really fun. That is such a great idea. I think I'm going to get onto this as well. But you have to find somebody to design these for you, and I don't think it's exactly the cheapest thing, but it's quite very interesting to see the governor of Aomori show off his jackets. So if you ever have the chance to meet the governor of Aomori, ask him to open up his jacket, because you're guaranteed to have a pretty good story if you do. So those are just some of the funny things that you'll experience if you follow Taro Kono on X. It's like a different insight into Japan culture from the eyes of a politician who has a pretty good sense of humor, I think. Let's see here, I got some more questions. Let's pull this one up bigger. How can you get a rail pass if you live in Japan? So Japanese citizens can't get any rail passes except for the Seishun Jihachi Keep, and sometimes there's some regional ones. Because I'm an American citizen, there are some passes, and this happened during the pandemic too, because they wanted to get more tourism to Tohoku, but they wanted to also utilize residents that lived here in Japan, because there's like over 1 million foreign residents in Japan. Why not give them the chance to be tourists as well and get them out into the countryside? And JR East has a JR East Tohoku Pass, which I can get. I love it. They also have a Tokyo Wide Pass that residents can get. You don't have to be a tourist, and you can jump on these passes for 30,000 yen, get 5 days of unlimited travel on the Shinkansen through Tohoku. So it's a really useful pass. Not all the JR passes are possible for residents of Japan, foreign residents of Japan, but this one is. So that's why. The Tokyo Wide Pass also allows you to use the Shinkansen up to about Ichigo Yuzawa. It's about an hour and 20 minutes you can use the Shinkansen. So there are some passes that allow you to do this. It's up to you to go and search the JR website. You can find the ones that might work for you. But at least it gives you some options before buying a full ticket. If you're going to be traveling for quite a bit in a certain area, there might be a pass for you. So these are always changing quite a bit. But the Tohoku Pass and the Tokyo Wide Pass, they're two passes I've used quite a bit. I think the Tokyo Wide Pass is 20,000 yen for 3 days or something. So you could do weekend trips out to Niigata or Yamanashi, for example, using express trains, which is really cool. Let me see. I think I might have a couple of more. Oh, this one came from, this is not a flattering comment. This is a translation of it because it was in Japanese. For you guys that have been watching the channel, you know a little bit more about me than some of the Japanese live streamers that come in here. So the issue with nuisance streamers in Japan, or just foreign streamers that are bad, has come up quite a bit. And this Japanese streamer, this was written in Japanese, thinks that I'm a nuisance streamer. I was live streaming on the Resort Shirakami. It was my second time to live stream on the Resort Shirakami. But JR East knew I was doing, because I was there filming an episode for them. So they know I'm filming on the Resort Shirakami. So yes, I had a permit to film on the Resort Shirakami, but this Japanese viewer who doesn't watch the show didn't know that. So is live streaming being done with permission from JR? Question mark. Obviously, they answer the question themselves. JR doesn't allow live streaming on YouTube. Oh, really? What's the difference between nuisance YouTube and unauthorized streaming? Nuisance YouTubers disturb the people around them. That's why it's called a nuisance YouTuber. A nuisance streamer is someone who disturbs the people all around them. Even when I was on this train, live streaming, I put the camera down when I saw people. I didn't stream people directly. I let the people know in the carriage on the left side and the right side that I was there to film. I'm very polite with the way I do this, Chiquita W3W. I've been doing this for a very long time. JR does allow it. You have to, I did a series of live streams during the pandemic because we couldn't get permission to do a lot of, I had a contract with JR to do episodes in the Tohoku region, and I didn't, we had a lot of trouble because the pandemic hit, and in order to fulfill the contract, we just didn't have enough time to do edited content. So JR asked me to do live streams, and I was able to do that. So I'm not sure what you're referring to, but I did have permission to promote a train that was 75% empty because they want to get people to go on that train. I didn't live stream the performance because I think that that's something that JR should check out before. And I didn't, and I don't know, I wasn't sure that there's a shamisen performance on this train. So I'm very careful about when I'm live streaming in public places to try to minimize people that get into the live stream. But even TV media, you know, you're going to get people in the background. It's sort of a gray area. If somebody feels uncomfortable, then that's when you might do something about it. But as long as you're not zooming in on people then and focusing on them, then it's not really an issue to be live streaming out in public. And this is something that I've been looking into for a very long time. I know quite a bit about. But if somebody does complain, I think it's on the person who's doing the live streaming that needs to take it down or to blur out faces if somebody complains. It's something that you should take seriously. You don't have a right to film out on the streets, but it is a free place for you to film. All right. So and it's also a lot of gray area. And if you feel uncomfortable, if anybody if I ever experience somebody who feels uncomfortable because I was live streaming, I almost always turn it off. Sometimes I'll talk with them and we can work it out, or I'll turn it off, or I'll film it down, or just leave it and delete it later. I've done that so many times in the past. So it's something I think Japanese that are watching this should realize, that not everything is a nuisance streamer, and not everything is done without a permit, and not everything is done in a way that makes you want to vent out and be angry because a foreigner is live streaming. Just because a foreigner is live streaming in Japan doesn't make them a nuisance. So I thought maybe that would be good to address a little bit in this live stream. I'm going to turn it over. I don't have a lot of time. I have about 5 more minutes, but I wanted to take some questions here before I get out. So are there any questions or comments? Yeah, don't be Johnny Somali. Trust me, I'm the anti-Johnny Somali here. Beyond Lover, if you have a permit, if they know that you're filming on the train. So they knew I was filming on the train. I had a guy following me when I was in Akita from JR too. So it was a coordinator. So I said, do they know I'm filming on the train? And they said, yes. I said, do you want to come on the train? And they said, no. I said, you have a pleasant ride. I had 4 tickets, one for the organizer from JR. So how many days do you recommend staying in Osaka? I don't know. Depends what you're doing. I'd say 2 nights is more than enough. I think it depends what you want to do. If you want to see the countryside, then maybe 1 or 2 nights is good. Same with Kyoto. I think there's a lot of other places that are better. Osaka is a very unique city, but it's still a city. So there you go. You can go to Kyoto. You can go to Kanazawa. Kanazawa has become very crowded as well. Hold on a second. I just want to see the time here. I got about 1 minute. So last question. What do you think about the risk of natural disasters when it comes to living in Japan for life? It's something that you're going to have to live with. You're going to have to prepare for. I've got a bag at the door that allows me to just take it and get out. And a big earthquake could happen at any time. You need to be prepared for it. And it's going to happen if you do live here. It's just a fact of life. It's not going to be great, but you're going to get used to them, and you're going to get used to how to be safe when they do occur, or as safe as you possibly can, because you can't run away from an earthquake. Is crime on the rise in Japan? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's being reported better. Hope you and the family are well, John. When I have traveled to Japan each winter for the last 7 years, but decided not to go this year for many reasons. I have an ice cold Asahi for me. I'm sorry that you can't make it though. Yeah, it's nice to come in the winter. I think it's not as crowded at this time. The beginning of December is really great time because you seem to have more space to do stuff. Not a lot of tourists are here. But I'm sorry to hear that you're not making it this winter, but I will be here and I'll be live streaming and taking you 8H. Thank you so much. And we're doing real well here. Illuminads, no questions, but at least one of my goals before the timer is up. Thank you. I don't know if we're going to reach the goal this time, Illuminads, but we're getting pretty close. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll be back with another live stream. I want to take you on a street view walk again. A lot of people love those. And we'll, if you have any questions, leave them down below. And I'm going to do another Q&A soon addressing the things that come up when I'm live streaming. And one of them will be about traveling to Japan because we got so many people coming for the fall. Make sure that your trip is nice and safe. You can also direct message me on Patreon and join the Postcard Club, which I really do appreciate, as well as the Daimyo, where I send packages to you with regional stuff inside. I appreciate it. Mata ne. See, nice, short and sweet.